I'm 77 years old, and the dreams I kept pushing back are the ones that weigh on me heaviest now. It's not the things I tried and failed at that keep me up at night. It's the ones I told myself I'd get to later, when the timing was better, when life settled down. But life doesn't settle. It just keeps moving until you're left looking back at all the empty spaces where those dreams should have been. I sit here in my small apartment most days, the one I've had since my wife passed 6 years ago. The walls are thin, and I can hear the neighbor's television through them, but it's quiet otherwise. My days are filled with little routines, making coffee, reading the paper, walking to the corner store if my knees allow it. I think a lot about time now, how it slips away without you noticing until it's mostly gone. I'm not telling this for pity or to feel better myself. It's just that at this age, you start to see things clearer, and maybe saying it out loud helps someone else see it too, before it's too late for them. When I was younger, in my 20s, I had these ideas bubbling up inside me. I wanted to write stories, not for fame or money, but because they were in my head, characters and places that felt real to me. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, working summers at my uncle's hardware store, and I'd scribble notes on scraps of paper during breaks. I thought about going out west, maybe to California, to see the ocean and try my hand at something creative. But then I met Ellen at a church picnic, and we started talking about building a life together. It made sense: get a steady job, save up, start a family. Dreams could wait, they weren't going anywhere. I took a position at the factory in town, assembling parts for refrigerators. It was good work, paid the bills, came with benefits after a few years. Ellen and I got married when I was 24, and our first boy, Tommy, came along not long after. I remember telling myself that the writing could happen on weekends or after the kids were older. I'd buy notebooks and stack them in the drawer of my nightstand, promising I'd fill them one day. But weekends turned into errands, fixing the leaky faucet, mowing the lawn, driving Tommy to baseball practice. Evenings were for dinner and helping with homework, then collapsing into bed because the alarm went off at 5 a.m. for the next shift. It didn't feel like a mistake then, it felt responsible. My father had worked the same way, providing for us without complaint, and I wanted to be like that. Ellen would ask sometimes, "What about those stories you used to talk about?" And I'd say, "Soon, when things calm down." We'd laugh about it like it was just a little delay. I postponed a trip we talked about too, a drive down the coast, just the two of us. After the kids are in school full-time, I'd say. Then it became, after Tommy's braces are paid off, or once Sarah starts high school. The dreams got smaller, tucked away further. By my 30s, we had 2 kids, a mortgage on a modest house, and I was promoted to supervisor at the factory. More hours, more responsibility. I liked the respect it brought, people calling me sir, relying on me to keep the line running smooth. But the notebooks stayed empty. I'd think about them during lunch breaks, staring at my sandwich, but then the whistle would blow and it was back to work. Ellen started working part-time at the library, and we'd pass each other in the kitchen, one coming home as the other left. Conversations got shorter. "How was your day?" "Fine, yours?" No time for the deeper talks we used to have on those early dates. The cost of it all crept in so slowly I barely noticed. Tommy grew up quiet, good at sports, but not much for sharing his feelings. I missed a few of his games because of overtime shifts, nothing major, just the ones that didn't seem crucial. But looking back, they all were. He'd ask if I could come, and I'd say, "Next one, buddy, promise." Sarah was the dreamer in the family. She wanted to paint, and I'd buy her supplies, but never sat down to encourage her the way I could have. Instead, I was always planning the next home improvement, the next way to make our life more secure. Security felt like the dream then, not the stories or the trips. In my 40s, the factory started cutting back. Layoffs hit, but I hung on, working harder to prove my worth. Ellen and I talked less about vacations. Money was tighter with college looming for the kids. I remember one evening after a long day, she sat me down and said, "John, when are we going to do something for us? The kids are almost gone." I nodded, said we'd plan it soon. But then her mother got sick, and we spent weekends driving to the nursing home instead. Dreams postponed again, for good reasons, always good reasons. The erosion happened in those small moments. A birthday dinner rushed because I had paperwork to finish at home. A family gathering where I was there, but not really present, my mind on the next day's schedule. Tommy moved out west for work, and we saw him once a year if we were lucky. Sarah got married young, had kids of her own, but our visits were brief, holidays mostly, where everyone was too busy to connect deeply. I kept thinking there'd be time later, when I retired, to write those stories, to visit the grandkids more, to take Ellen on that trip. Retirement was the magic word, everything waited for it. I hit 50 and the body started reminding me of the years. Aches in the mornings, nothing serious at first. The factory offered early retirement packages, but I passed, wanted to build up the pension more. Ellen retired from the library, spent her days gardening, reading. She'd leave books out for me, ones with stories like the ones I used to imagine writing. "You should try it now," she'd say gently. I'd smile, say I would, but the evenings filled up with television or helping neighbors with odd jobs. It was easier to stay busy than to face the blank page. The slow build of it all, the way relationships thinned out without breaking. Tommy called less, work kept him traveling. Sarah's family had their own routines, and our talks turned to weather and health updates. I saw friends retire and travel, but I told myself our turn was coming. The dreams weren't forgotten, they were just on hold. I assumed there was always more time. Then came the turning point, the one that cracked everything open. It was 4 years ago now, wait, no, 5. Ellen had been feeling tired more than usual. We thought it was just age, maybe needed better vitamins. But the doctor visits piled up, and then the diagnosis, cancer, stage 3, it moved fast. We spent those months in hospitals, treatments that wore her down more than the disease sometimes. I took time off work finally, but it was for appointments and caregiving, not for the life we'd postponed. She passed quietly one morning in hospice. I was holding her hand, and she looked at me, said, "We should have gone on that trip." Not angry, just sad. It hit me then, like a weight dropping, the years we'd let slip by, assuming tomorrow would always be there. I retired right after, but it was too late for us. The house felt empty without her. I tried picking up those old notebooks, but the words wouldn't come. They felt hollow now, without her to share them with. What's gone can't be brought back. Those stories I never wrote, they're faded ideas now, not the vivid things they were in my youth. The time with Ellen, the trips we dreamed of, the deeper bonds with the kids, they're lost to the past. Tommy visits when he can, but there's a distance there, built from all those missed games and hurried calls. Sarah tries, brings the grandkids over, but I'm more a figure in photos than someone they know well. I see now how choosing duty over dreams eroded the connections quietly, year by year. Success at work meant promotions and a paid-off house, but it didn't fill the quiet evenings alone. I wish I'd realized sooner that time doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It just passes, and the dreams you postpone turn into regrets that sit with you in the silence. Productivity felt important, approval from bosses and neighbors, but it left me with memories of routines, not moments that mattered. Loneliness creeps in at this age, not dramatic, just a steady companion. There are days I feel grateful for the life we had, for the kids who turned out okay despite it all, but it's mixed with this sorrow, knowing what could have been if I'd acted on those urges instead of delaying. If you're listening to this, and you're younger, think about the dreams you're holding off, not because you have to chase them wildly, but because assuming there's always more time is the quiet lie we tell ourselves. I wish someone had sat me down and said, "Do it now, even if it's small steps, because later might not come the way you expect." It's not advice to upend your life, just to weave in what calls to you before it's pushed too far back. These days I walk in the park near here, watch the families and the young folks rushing by. I have some time left, I hope, but it's limited. I'll try to write a bit, maybe call the kids more, but it's not the same as if I'd started decades ago. The regrets don't define me, but they're there, honest and heavy. I accept them now as part of the life I lived. If this resonates with you, maybe share what dreams you're postponing, not for me, but for yourself. It might help to say it out loud.